What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and today we're gonna be reacting to a video from Amala from PragerU down there at they partnered with Daily Wire and all that. And you know, if anybody from PragerU or Daily Wire ever comes across any of my videos, you know, give me a call. You know, we could talk. I come down to where y'all at, Tennessee or whatever. I come down there. It's nothing. It's nothing. But anyways, the title of this video is "Debating Leftist Student on Right-Wing Bigotry in Don't Say Gay." This should be interesting. Let's hop into it.
Well, it wasn't written in the bill, but that's why I'm saying that I feel like it's bills like those are being targeted towards gay people and lesbians as well.
I would argue that the bills also say that you should not show children heterosexual acts.
I don't know. I might be too much for PragerU, man. Can you imagine, like, cause you know how I do videos sometimes with my do-rag on? You think they'll let me do videos with my Dewey on? If I'm... I don't know, they might y'all be watching it, so I don't know. Maybe.
Hello. So this kind of goes back to the first question,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of confused and like would be interested in your answer about what the difference is between conservatism and like the current Republican Party. Because like something that really drives me away from the Republican Party is a lot of like blatant lies and bigotry that I hear coming out of that, and kind of the lack of calling that out from other people as well. So
Yeah, look, both sides are gonna lie to you for real, for real. That's why I don't say I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. So honestly, if somebody could just run and they stood 100% 10 toes down on Christian values and ran, and it was like, I don't know, you independent, third party, whatever you want to call it, anything that's not red or blue, right? I would rock with it for real, but at the end of the day, even if I do vote for somebody Republican, because I like DeSantis, even if I go that way, we all know blue is still gonna win, because that's just how people have been brainwashed now.
I guess, and like listening to what you're talking about today, it seems like you're very focused on the facts, and that's something that's driving a lot of what you're like thinking and saying. But that doesn't seem to really be coming from the Republican Party. So
Okay.
I'm confused on how you're.
I'm curious. I would like. Can I get examples of what you mean when you say like they're focused on bigotry or like saying certain things?
So like blatant lies, I guess, would kind of be with the election and like election deniers, and then kind of the lack of people who are calling that out. So I guess, I mean, a good example would be, I mean, you were talking about, you know, following the facts and the science with regards to like transgender youth. So I'm just kind of confused on how then you're saying we should follow the facts with respects to that, but then all the kind of Republicans who are ignoring that. And then I guess with the bigotry would be in regards to like the Don't Say Gay law in Florida, and then the lack of like Republicans who are then calling that out.
Yeah. So,
Bro, that was your example. There's like so many better examples on why like the Republican Party does certain things that also like that where they lie and do crazy things the same as like the Democrats. But then those were your two examples. Those were horrible, bro. Especially the Don't Say Gay bill. That's what y'all really called it. Did you read the bill? It's not what you think it is.
so I'll touch on the Don't Say Gay thing first. Then we'll get to the election thing. Then we'll get to the Republican thing. The Don't Say Gay bill, I think, is falsely labeled the Don't Say Gay bill.
Yeah,
I've actually gone to the page, read the bill itself. It's actually called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. And if you go through and read the bill itself, a lot of people engaged in all this fanfare and getting angry about a label, which is 3 words that they heard, rather than going and actually reading the bill. And the bill itself talks about just staying away from sexual education that has to do with other sexualities, has to do with gender theory. A lot of people got mad at the bill saying that he was trying to erase African American history. But if you go in and read it, there's actually a full paragraph where he says the school must dedicate time to talking about African American history, including slavery and Jim Crow and all these different things written directly in it. There's nothing in the bill that explicitly says you should not say the word gay or encourages teachers to not talk about the fact that you can have a family that has 2 dads or 2 moms. So I think that was a lot of just media propaganda. And
Florida's controversial Don't Say Gay law.
It also shows how easy it is to manipulate people, because the media ran with that. And then you had all these people out protesting. And it's like, if y'all read the bill, you wouldn't even be out here doing this. But you're just it's a headline, right? That's what most people go off of. They'll read the headline, and maybe when like that one little sentence that's underneath it, they might read that, right? And that's about it. They won't read anything else, and then they just lose their minds and go off their rockers. And you're just like, hey, did you actually read this? Did you read this and the charts and everything else that go with it? Whatever it is, right? Outside of this bill, but shows how people are sheep. That's why you get called sheep and bots. It doesn't make sense.
The law takes effect today. Don't say gay bill.
The don't say gay is don't say gay.
The don't say gay bill.
Don't say gay law.
Don't say gay bill. Don't say gay bill. Don't say gay bill.
And switching things around that got people angry.
Okay, can I just, are you going to switch topics? Could I follow on that?
You can respond, yeah.
Okay, so then my question, I guess, following up on that, would you be against then like a kindergartner being like read a story that has like 2 dads or 2 moms?
I mean, that doesn't necessarily make me upset. I wouldn't go running to the school board about it.
Like, the way the society is going, if I had a child and I put them in, well, I'll use my nephew as an example because he's in school right now. I already know with him being in school, he probably has classmates that have 2 moms and 2 dads. It's going to happen. We're going to run across it. To me, that's not as big of an issue as like the books that have actual sex in it. So I did a video earlier today, and it's basically the books that they have in the classrooms are showing kids not only how to have sex, and mind you, these aren't elementary schools. They're showing kids how to have sex and how to use sex apps on phones. Now, you tell me why an elementary student needs to know how to have sex, how to use sex toys, and how to use sex apps on phones. That's weird. That's my whole issue and what I have a problem with. Something in there where you just crack open a book and it's like, little Billy went home and showed his dads that he got an A today. I don't really care about that. It's everything else that goes with it. Whoops.
I would question the need for having any sort of conversation that talks about relationships in school. But if you're just showing a picture book and it has 2 dads in it, okay, whatever. I'm not upset about it. I think what specifically conservative parents are really upset about is things much more nefarious than showing 2 dads in a book. I mean, talking about homoeroticism and pornography and different ways to engage in sexual acts, gender confusion. That's what's really brought parents to the forefront of this discussion. It's not something as simple and as harmless as showing 2 dads in a book.
Okay, but like, do you understand that like that is in Florida? Like that is what's not allowed to happen though?
No, I don't understand that.
Like
that's
teachers
what's written in the bill.
Well, it wasn't written in the bill, but that's why I'm saying that I feel like it's bills like those are being targeted towards gay people. And
my man, it's not in the bill. So to sit there and be like, that's what I'm saying, I just feel like, it doesn't matter what you feel like, it's not in the bill and it's not happening. What part don't you get?
Lesbians, well.
I would argue that the bills also say that you should not show children heterosexual acts. So it's not targeting of any kind to any sort of sexuality. I wouldn't want to send my kindergarten to school and have them talk about a man and a woman having sex. I think the bill explicitly lays out what conversations are appropriate for school and what conversations are not. Sexual conversations, conversations about sexuality, identification, are just not what we send children to school.
Actually, let's go back real quick. Oh, this is from the bill. Okay, so yeah.
School for.
But would you be against then like a fifth grader just reading a book where there's a relationship between like a man or a woman and a woman, where like their sexuality is discussed?
I mean, not necessarily, but I don't know why that book has to be given to that child from the school. I think there are very few things that a school should be taking care of, and that is math, reading, writing, science, and maybe some home economics. But as far as engaging in conversations about any sort of relationship or sexuality, it feels wholly unnecessary to me. And I don't know where the school train ran away from us that they now feel that they are the arbiters of teaching children anything that has to do with relationships. I think those are conversations for mom and dad, or mom and mom.
Yeah, that's definitely a parent relationship. I'm with her. What happened? Like, it used to be like you go to school, the whole thing is you learn whatever's planned out for the day, right? Like she said, reading, writing, science, history. It was that. All you knew about your teacher, it was Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, right? That was about it. I didn't know their personal life. I didn't need to know if they were in a poly relationship or they had a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I didn't need to know any of that. to be in school, right? My teacher just came in, gave us work, we filled it out, did it, bada bing, bada boom, we're done, we go home. Teachers nowadays, I don't know why they seem like it has to like, oh, how do I tell my kid I'm in this type of relationship? How do I tell my kid I'm dating the same sex? They're not your kid, okay? They're your students, and they don't really need to know about your personal life. It's just weird, and then they're just taking it over. Oh, if one of my students tells me they're trans or they have a same-sex partner, I'm not telling their parents. What? That's not your job to do. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
What about the relationships between, like, men and women? In the sense that, like, there are plenty of books where a man and a woman are together.
Sure, yeah. If you want, like, we go on a date and go get lunch together or something like that, sure. But again, that's not what parents are coming to the school for.
But I would disagree, and I would say I think there are plenty of people who are upset.
Oh,
that is being taught, and that is what's happening.
You could say that, and you'd probably find a few Christian people who go.
Well, I think it's more than a few, if we're going to be realistic in Florida.
Sure, well, I'm not a religious person. I'm sure there's plenty of Christian people who say I'm against that in school, but I think it is about being forthright with what we have with our kids. Like when I went to school and we were going to get any sort of sexual education, I was sent home with a piece of paper a week before, a day before, that said, hey, we're going to have a conversation about sexual activity and relationships with your child. Here's what we're going to discuss. If you'd like to opt out, check this box here. We'll send your kid to another room and they can have a pizza party.
Now that I think about it, I don't think my school ever did that. Now that I think about it. Yeah, we never had to sign the slip for the CPR trainings, and we never had to sign the slip to learn about sex ed. It kind of just happened in health class. Huh. It's crazy because I remember like all the TV shows and cartoons at the time, they were doing it. I don't think my school specifically ever did that. Woo, my school just ran off the tracks. To be fair, we didn't learn anything crazy. Like they showed us a video on a woman giving birth, and then there was like a video of what all the STDs look like. And it didn't stop anybody because most of the people that I went to school with was still popping out babies and having unprotected sex and catching STDs. So it didn't change or save anybody from my school. It's just wild.
I don't know why that it's such a difficult thing to do in the modern age, and why teachers feel the need to inject these conversations into classrooms without parents knowing. I think a great way to mitigate this problem as a whole is to engage in curriculum transparency, where at the beginning of every year, when you send your child to school, you get a little book that says, here's what we're teaching. Here are the resources your kid is going to look at. You can look at these resources yourself. If you have a problem with any of the resources we are going to give your child, notify us. And it's a very simple issue. To just put the power back in the hands of parents where it should have been from the beginning. And it feels weird to meet such resistance on allowing parents to be able to make that choice for their kids. Not necessarily resistance from you, but from left-leaning people at large.
You know what's interesting about her saying that? That would be very easy to do, because if you've ever been to college, that's all college is. When they give you your syllabus for the semester, everything is lined out on what you're going to do, what you're going to go through, books and resources that are going to be needed. Why can't a school do that? Because it seems like a lot of teachers just reuse their lesson plans anyways. Just syllabus, break it down, okay? Be like, hey, this is what we're going to go through this year. And I understand with teachers, like, yeah, what's supposed to happen this week, you might get a little behind because you have a lot more kids in your class and some may not get it, so you got to spend an extra little bit of time on something. But it just gives an overall general view to the parents, like, hey, this is what we're going to be doing this year. Now, you also have an idea of what we're about to be doing. That would be super simple. Like, how come that's available on a college level when we are adults, but it's not available when you're, like, under 18? That is kind of crazy.
Okay, thank you. And then, I mean, don't necessarily agree with that, but I guess just to go to the second...
Yeah. What was the second thing again? Republicans?
Republicans, conservatisms, and then also about, I mean, just following the facts with regards to, like, science regarding, like, puberty blockers, and then ignoring the science and the facts with regard to the election.
Yeah, so what is interesting is that when I say follow the science when it comes to puberty blockers and transgenderism, the question becomes what science? Because in the United States of America, science seems to be controlled by this totalitarian force of left-leaning people who are willing to silence anybody who disagrees in the scientific realm. There's a brilliant neuroscientist by the name of Deborah So who wrote a book called The End of Gender, and she was super scared to write this because she knew it meant being alienated from all of her scientific community. So when you have a force working like that against you in this country, and I'm looking to outside research from other countries to substantiate what we know to be true, but for some reason can't get unbiased research, I think that's why a lot of Republicans feel the way they do about elections. Now, whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. I haven't looked into any of the auditing they've done of the elections, and I don't necessarily concern myself with that conversation. But that idea is a sown seed of mistrust. They have mistrust in the institutions and systems as they stand, and whether or not you feel a certain way about the elections, that mistrust is rightful. I mean, we're finding out now that the FBI, which is a government agency, is now in contact with big tech like Facebook and Twitter, actively auditing and censoring information prior to election cycles happening. And this is noted. We have the emails from the FBI, the Twitter files have come out. So whether or not they're right about the election is really not necessarily the problem. The problem is you have a large portion of Americans who have little to no faith in the systems that they've always had faith in for the most part. And I think that's what we should be addressing.
Okay.
I don't know if we've always had faith in it for the most part. At least me and people that think like me, we were always called conspiracy theorists when we would be like, it's Rand, they know who they're going to put in, they know who they want, they're going to suppress him, blah, blah, blah. You're a conspiracy theorist. And then, like she said, the Twitter files came out showing otherwise. And now we're at the point where then the FBI came out and was like, oh, y'all don't believe that. That's just some conspiracy theory. It's like, no, bro, all the receipts was there. All the receipts was there.
But like, okay, sorry.
All right. That wasn't a bad video. Not a bad video at all. That guy could have had some better questions, though, because it's so crazy how in the beginning I'm just like, yeah, I'm with you. And then like 5 seconds later, it all went left. He chose like the worst things to try to make a point on, but he's a leftist student, so I guess that makes sense. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never start dropping a video, and check the community tab from time to time so you can stay up to date with what I got going on over here. So with that being said, you already know who it is. It's Sang.